Hey everyone, so it's May and nesting season is in full force for most birds anyway, and that prompted me to do a video about sparrow spookers. And there's a lot of videos on YouTube about how to make sparrow spookers, and some of them are PVC pipe or some you're using wood and drilling holes and stuff like that. But I wanted to try and go with a really easy approach because sometimes you don't have all the equipment necessary to do this. And so this video is for a sparrow spooker where all you do is you get a pasta rack on Amazon, or you can probably go to Bed Bath & Beyond for one too, a wooden pasta rack, and you're just going to mount it to your box and hang streamers from it. So I have my last year's pasta rack that I used, and it is not in the best condition, but I think it will work for this video, or I hope so anyway. So it's a bit warped, but this is the pasta rack that I got from Amazon, and I actually bought it originally for pasta, but of course, you know, the birds. Basically, there's a few different ways you can approach this. You can mount the whole thing to your nest box and hang streamers from here. And I will say these little rods, they used to move because there's a hole in each of these sections, and so you can adjust the rods so that way they're going over the box as far as you need them to go, or covering certain sides better. But now that it's been out in the rain and the heat and stuff, everything's warped, so they don't move anymore. But at least when you're starting out, you can adjust it. The other thing that's nice about this is it unscrews from the mount. And so let's say you had a gabled box. It's not going to mount nice and flat to your nest box. You can unscrew this and basically tape this to your pole mount, and then adjust the rods so that way they're hanging over the box the way you need them to, and then go from there. So it's pretty versatile. In fact, I guess last year I taped it to the box, even though I have a flat roof. I taped it to not the box, but the pole mount, and that worked just fine. So in terms of supplies to do this, I mean, obviously you need your pasta rack. If you're taping it to your pole, then some good outdoor duct tape is the way to go. Get something that is for outdoor and can handle hot temperatures, because what you don't want is this sticky going down the pole and something happening and it getting like the birds or something. They do have outdoor tape that you can use. Scissors are good. You will need some kind of streamer, and you could use like an old Mylar balloon and cut it up to make streamers. You can find stuff in the party section of Walmart or Dollar Tree or Dollar General. Another thing that you can do that's really cheap, I don't have the label on this, but I will try and put a link below, at least so you can see what it looks like. But this was originally one of these like emergency blankets, and you can find this in the outdoor section of Walmart, so like the camping section in Walmart, and it's just a small little box, very, very small, so it took a while for me to find it. And basically what I've done is I've been able to just cut this up into the sizes that I need and make streamers that way. And then I really recommend in this situation, if you're mounting everything to the box, you're going to need a drill and either a screwdriver or a screw gun. And then you will need appropriate size screws. I do not know what the size of these are. I think really, though, this is all going to depend on your nest box and your pasta rack. But, you know, I wanted to make sure that there was coverage, so you know, enough that it'll go through into the nest box too. I have a lot of rubber bands here. But I like rubber bands because one of the things I noticed last year is that I tied these streamers on last year, and that worked really well, but given like high storms and stuff like that, they did kind of like fall slide off. So what I do is I will, like, once I have the streamers on, I'll just put a rubber band at the end here, and it basically will work as a stopper. I don't know if you can see that really well. I didn't rubber band the whole thing, but it would work as a stopper. Another thing that you do want to be careful about with your sparrow spookers is when it does storm, check your yard the next day, because the streamers may come off in the winds, and your neighbors aren't going to be too happy about that. So check your yard, make sure you do your cleanup, and then, you know, the nice thing is if you have a pack of streamers or you have something like this, you can easily just put streamers back on. Real quick before we get into it, I do want to talk about when we would mount a Sparrow Spooker. The going advice is after the first egg is laid. So whether you have a bluebird or a chickadee, or if you're lucky and you have a titmouse or something like that, wait until the first egg, at least the first egg is laid, because then the parents are more committed. Something else that I've seen in the past is too many streamers all at once can freak the birds out a little bit. So after you put your spooker up, monitor the box and make sure they're coming, and you can even ease them into this and start with just a few streamers at a time and add more as necessary. I don't know that you have to go too crazy, but it is good to make sure that all sides are protected. So if this was the back side of your box, you would want streamers on here just as well as here. And I think one of the big reasons is because you don't want something wanting to perch on here either. The other thing that I will also say is that if you have a house sparrow that is in your yard and starting to sing on a box or has gone in and out of a box, I'd still recommend putting a spooker up, but you need to catch that sparrow first, because once they become bonded to a box, the Sparrow Spookers may not be enough to deter them. They end up being really relentless about these things. So in that case, if you see them singing on a box or bringing stuff to a nest box, trap them. So I have a demo box up here. I'm not gonna measure anything. I mean, I'll kind of measure, but you know, I just wanna get a general idea of where to place things. So I'm just gonna put this on here and stand up. I'm only going to do 2 screws, and I'm going to do them diagonally. I don't want to go crazy with the screws. I actually might go this route because I have a camera on this side. So I will go diagonally this way, and that should be enough to hold it, especially just for nesting season. So once you got your hole, I started placing a screw, and that way just kind of getting it going in the hole, so that way it's set. And then I'm going to go ahead and drill on the next angle. And one of the things to think about is if you look really closely, this is stepped. So think about that as you're drilling. I'm going to try and aim into this section and kind of get up here with my drill. Okay. And then get this in. I will demonstrate that. You could use a screw gun to get this in, so I'm just going to swap out the batteries and demonstrate that, but a screwdriver works just as well. So if you only have a drill bit in place and you don't have a screw gun, a screwdriver is going to work just fine. Just a little more effort needed, but okay, and that's it. And you know, just for doing it diagonally, that works perfect. And then you can go ahead and twist this back on. So for the streamers, you're just going to cut some of your streamers up, unless you bought some that are already ready to go, and then you're just going to tie them or tape them or fix them to your Sparrow Spooker in any way you can. But in this example, I'm just going to show you this. These are a bit wide, so I'm going to cut this. And one of the things when you're thinking about this is that you want the streamers to definitely brush the roof, and some people even suggest kind of flying over the hole just a little bit. So that's kind of the length that you're going for, and that's the length that I'm going to go for. And really, like, if you're tying it, then you can kind of work that on your own. Okay, so I have about 4 streamers, and that's all I'm going to demonstrate, but you can do as many as you want. And like I said, you probably want to ease your birds into this. So I'll just start with the top one, and remember too that you do want to try and do these back sides if they're exposed, because we don't want birds wanting to perch on this. So all I'm going to do is, I know you can't see this, but I'm going to look at my box and see kind of where I want this to dangle and use that as like my tie-off point. And with this stuff, it will want to tear. So I'm just going to do kind of a wrap and then another tie and then a double knot. And I think that's okay if this guy's hanging. So I'll do another level. Same kind of idea. And I know you might be like, well, how many streamers per section or side? I really think like you can do what you want. You want to make sure that the streamers are definitely brushing the roof. You definitely want that, and that they will kind of hang over the roof just a little bit. Watch your birds too, because if they're not happy with it, go easy. And like I said, make sure to do all of the sides. The last thing I'm going to show is just, you know, doing the rubber bands. And again, that's so these don't slide off, because you can tell that they really want to. If you even want to make sure that they're fixed here and don't go any further, you can do that with your rubber band too. And I think that's really all you need, because that's going to make a bumper right there. And it may slide this way, but it's not coming off. That's really all that there is to it. You just go and then, you know, hang your box back up on the pole. And like I said, again, if you have a gabled box, or you don't want to go through the pain of mounting that wooden block to your box, all you have to do is unscrew this thing and tape it onto your pole. Okay, so I think that's it. I think I've covered all the bases of, you know, when to put the Sparrow Spooker up, how far the streamers need to go down, and just one of the reasons why using a poster rack just makes life so much easier. The big thing is, like, you're not having to try and figure out how to drill into something round, which I can't remember the type. Is it like a drill press? I think it requires a drill press. My husband has one. He knows how to use it. I don't. So 15-20 bucks on Amazon saves you a lot of trouble. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it helps. Thanks so much for watching.